Hi, I'm really excited to welcome my new guest, Jen Barron. How you doing, Jen?
I'm good, thank you, Mark. How are you?
Yeah, great, very good. So I've known Jen quite a long time now. It's probably 5, 6 years.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I've seen your development, the projects that you've been working on with Dan. So let me just get this right. So your position is head of portfolio builder within PPN Group.
Yes, that's right.
Yeah, and how long you been working with Dan?
So I have had the pleasure of working at PPN and for Dan now for 6 years.
Okay, excellent. Yeah, and so you started out, was it site coordinator working on the projects?
Yeah, so when I first started, my role was national site coordinator, and that role was, supporting Dan primarily as he was delivering the projects. My role was to support him, just to bring everything together and sort of just support him in order to deliver the sites. And fast forward a few years, my role now is me delivering the sites.
Yeah, so you actually kind of like run that business now, don't you? With obviously Dan supporting you.
I do, yes. Day to day, I have the reins of the business and have the pleasure of running it.
Fantastic, yeah, and obviously the sites have changed from once you was kind of like first started. I think you was doing kind of like HMOs, and then you started doing like the flat conversions. I think you've just been doing bigger like commercial conversions since then.
Yes, that's right. So when I started, HMOs were sort of, still a big thing in the market. There was still a lot of money to be made in the HMO developments, and that definitely got harder, particularly in our market in Nottingham, where we're governed by Article 4. So Dan sort of spotted a crest of a wave in sort of micro studios, build to rent to sell, and we did our first one of those, which was six flats, and that sort of model really grew from that, and that's what we're sort of still doing today.
And where are you today?
Say that again, sorry.
Whereabouts are you today?
Oh, today. So I'm coming to you today from Mancor House in Hucknall, which hopefully people have seen on some Facebook updates. So this is our latest commercial site in Hucknall. It's 34,000 square foot, and we are proposing to turn it into 88 apartments, subject to getting planning for all of that.
Okay, excellent. Yeah. So before you started to work with Dan, what was your experience then? What was you actually doing?
So previously to joining PPN, I was in my role for 12 years. I was a senior operations manager, and I looked after a team of 44 people.
Wow.
And within that, I sort of specialised into a branch of, it was in the hair and beauty industry. And I sort of branched off into salon redevelopments. So working with a third party to refurbish hair and beauty salons.
Great. So there's obviously a lot of like transferable skills that you've got from what you were previously doing.
Yeah, absolutely. Like definitely in the people management side of things, and also in, project delivery. It's delivering on time and on budget, no matter who your client is.
Yeah, fantastic. Yeah, I do actually remember when Dan was recruiting for your position, and we kind of like do the wealth dynamics profile, and the free one is the Genius U. What was your profile?
So the profile that I came out as was Blaze.
Yeah.
And that wasn't the profile that Dan was hoping to sort of get for the role.
Yeah. And how did that play out then?
Well, after 12 years in the job that I sort of previously was in, I was actually made redundant. So I was in a stopgap at that point in a job that I really did not like and did not enjoy. So when they came back to say that unfortunately you've not been successful to get to a telephone interview, I sort of went back and challenged it and shared some of like the experience that I did have, like 12 years under my belt of doing various things.
Yeah.
Not perhaps worded quite so calmly as that. But yes, I went back and challenged it, and then I laugh about it to this day with Dan. By some miracle, after sending that, I got a telephone interview with Daniel Hill, the managing director of the company. So,
hey, good for you. Yeah, so I think that's a couple of things. I think have you retaken yet, and you're kind of like Blaze Tempo kind of deal maker?
Yeah, absolutely. So it's actually so interesting. It is something that I really love learning about, and I can't believe I didn't know about this before I started working with Dan. It's so interesting. I did retake the test, and came out as the sort of Blaze Tempo like deal maker profile.
Yeah, I think that's really interesting. Anybody that's kind of like looking to recruit, then Wealth Dynamics is a great tool to use. And the free version is called Genius U, and it's something that I've used since starting on Property Entrepreneur. But it isn't a case, whilst it gives you a guide, everybody's got like kind of like different skills, and it doesn't necessarily mean that kind of like one size fits all and somebody is just that profile. It's an indication, and I think Blaze, you've got really good people skills, but I think for the particular role, it was kind of like looking for tempo, which is what I am, which is basically in the flow of things, being able to get on and kind of like make things happen. And I think you've got kind of like a bit of both, so you've got both kind of like skills, which obviously paid it well for your success in the role.
Yeah, that's very kind, thank you. And I think it is, like you say, it is really, really important. But I think just having that sort of open-mindedness, like Dan did have with me, and hopefully, it's worked out really well for both of us. And the more you learn about this, is bringing those traits to the role has really helped develop the role that I do now as well.
Yeah. So you actually started helping out on the Property Entrepreneur program, didn't you? Was that maybe 5-6 years ago?
Yes. So Dan asked me if I wanted to help at one of the Blueprint events back in 2017.
Yeah.
And it was obviously at the most amazing venue. So I was like, absolutely, hell yeah, sign me up.
So that was the Belfry, yeah.
Yeah, the Belfry. And it was just the most like wonderful 3 days that I think I've ever had. I just fell in love with it after sort of 3 days of learning about it. It was just incredible.
And then you've been on the program. You've been on the Property Entrepreneur program since then, haven't you? You go to the advanced.
I do, and it's just the most incredible, life-changing journey that anybody can go on. Like for me personally, it's changed my life, and professionally, it's changed my life. And
you've had a massive input as well on the Get Up, Give Back.
Absolutely. Get Up, Give Back. Like very proud of what everybody's achieved with that, and who we've helped along the way.
Yeah, fantastic. So let's go through. So we're going to be discussing one of the projects that you actually did as a portfolio builder service for a client. So
yes.
That's affectionately known as the Fireworks Factory. Yeah,
that's right. Yes.
In Nottingham. So how you work with Dan, I think Dan kind of like sources the sites, kind of like works out what the potential is, and then you work together to deliver that. Is that the case?
Yeah, that's absolutely right. So Dan has a real knack of finding a needle in a haystack, which this site was, and he found it. And then we have a very clear process that we go through, from Dan sourcing it, It's then over to me to do some sort of local market due diligence, speak to some agents, look at, various comparables, and we do, both of us go away and do our own thing on that. And then if the numbers stack and there's a deal to be done, we will proceed to securing it. Yeah.
So this has worked out as a fantastic deal. So you sent over some kind of like some information on it. So for people who are listening, the site is a great size. It's like 6,000 square feet, approximately 557 square meters. And from that, you've been able to get 14 units?
Yes, 14.
So that's a kind of like 6 one-beds and then the 8 studios that I think you got under permitted development before the minimum space standards came in.
Yes, that's right.
Yeah. And then when did you actually hand the property over? How recent was that?
So we sourced it in 2020. We did all our bits on that to get it across the line, and we commenced works on it in 2021 and finished within the last 12 months. So finished at the back end of 2021.
Okay, excellent. Yeah. So just to go through the numbers then, the purchase price was 280 on this, which is like remarkable, thinking it's kind of like £20,000 a unit. So I would love to find some of those deals. The refurb cost came out, I think it was about 380. So your total spend was about 660,000, which for 14 units is about 47,000, which is fantastic.
Yeah.
Great numbers. So just go through, people listening, as to what the process is of what you do on this kind of like site. So I think you say it's kind of like everything's kind of like front loaded. Do you want to just go through, once you've got the site, the process that you follow?
Yeah, absolutely. So we work with a big team of people that we've worked with for many, many years. And everything in Portfolio Builder is front loaded. So we like work backwards. So when we hand the keys to the main contractor, everybody knows what they have to execute, when it has to be executed by, and how much money they've got to do it. That's the kind of summary. And then working back from that, we work with our team of surveyors, quantity surveyor, main contractor, and we spend months and months putting together what we call a final development pack. And within that is every single schedule, budget, document, design spec that everybody throughout the project will be working with.
Mm-hmm. I think you showed me some of the documentation that you put together, which is you go into great detail, and it's very impressive what you actually kind of like produce. Yeah, we do. We mark everything down to where every socket's going, where every light switch is going. There is nothing at all that is left to chance. Everybody is very clear on what is expected of them to deliver, from me to the main contractor to the quantity surveyor. Everything is geared up to deliver the project as smoothly as we can for the client. Yeah. And then you then go on site, you do your regular kind of like inspections. Is that what you do? Yes, that's right. So I'm on site to start with, maybe like 2 times a week. Mm-hmm. Then it drops to weekly. Within that mix, we have a quantity surveyor that does his inspections every month as well, puts together a full site and financial report, which obviously goes to our client and which we review. And yeah, we're on site. Like I say, I'm on site every week, and then towards the end, when it starts getting busy at the end of the project, I'm back on site maybe 2 or 3 times a week. Mm-hmm. So the QS comes, and that's to authorise the drawdowns for the funding. Yes. Main contract that you use, yeah. Okay. On this particular project, then, was there kind of any issues that you had to face within that?
It was relatively straightforward site delivery. The challenges I think we had, which was a sort of a sign of the times, was delays and challenges getting materials. Obviously, we were still through within the COVID times. So there was definitely delays on timber, there was delays on glass. But, you know, all of this was very carefully managed by all parties to ensure, you know, there was no sort of big issues.
Yeah. And then I think you came then to hand that over, and then did you also get a lease for the property?
Yes, that's right. So again, sort of sign of the times, that demand was really high for the sort of social housing space, and there was a number of private housing associations that we had worked with previously, and yeah, we secured a lease for our client on this site with one of those parties.
Yeah, and that was like a long-term lease. I think it was about 75k. Is that about the
Yes,
ballpark?
that's right.
Yeah. So and then I think the GDV is about £1 million.
Yes.
So it is like to have kind of like a lease of, say, you know, 7.5% on the GDV. Obviously the cost was a lot less than that. I think the total spend was about 660. So absolutely fantastic returns on the project.
Yeah, like really, it was a really fantastic project. The client was absolutely fantastic to work with, and yeah, the result was overall was, yeah, very good.
Excellent. So when you kind of like look on that, for somebody that may be looking to do a similar project, or from the experience that you've had, what would you say is like the 3 top tips that you would have?
Yeah, so my initial thoughts on this is one of my top tips is trust your gut feeling. Like, that's really stayed with me for years and years. Like, within the job that I was in before this, is trust your gut feeling, because it is very rarely wrong.
Yeah.
Not always to say it's not wrong, but it's rarely wrong. So it's tuning into that and tuning into it early to stop a problem before it, you know, potentially becomes a catastrophe.
What is any kind of examples on that?
There's probably too many to mention, to be quite honest.
Is that where you think, oh, that could go wrong in the future?
Yeah, or it's a live example of thinking, oh my God, this is going to go wrong now. If we don't sort of step in and sort this out now, this could go very wrong. And sometimes it means, you know, having very challenging conversations, but it's not, you know, when you get that feeling, don't ignore it, like just address it. And if it means having the challenging conversation, have it.
Yeah, great. Yeah. And then secondly,
so secondly is you get what you pay for. And it sounds like a very obvious one, but we, you know, we're no different to anybody else. We've had projects where we've had to dismiss main contractors because they've just not delivered to what they should be doing. And some of those mistakes we're still paying for today from poor workmanship. We don't work with those trades anymore. The team that we work with are fantastic. Yeah. But like anything, any of the partners that we work with, any of the suppliers, you know, you get what you pay for. Yeah. No, I fully agree, and I've had the same kind of experience with that. I was at a property event recently where they were talking about the refurbs, the triangle, and on that triangle are the 3 points, and they were kind of time, price, and the quality. And what they're saying is you can get 2, but you can't get all of those. And I think having kind of like thought about that, you certainly, and that comes into what you get, what you pay for. So it's hard to get done it in a really good time, it's a really good quality, without paying the price for that. Absolutely. You can't have it all at the end of the day. Yeah. And then thirdly, Yeah, so my third one is like a mantra that we've had within Portfolio Builder for a couple of years now, and it's whatever it takes.
Mm-hmm.
And we don't say that lightly. Like, if we say to somebody, we will do whatever it takes to finish this project, you know, we do, and whatever that might entail. And actually, in the case of the fireworks factory, it was securing that site where this sort of mantra came into play. Basically, the agents were very non-responsive on communications,
Mm-hmm.
and I think it probably drove quite a few people just to sort of get exasperated and give up. But we sort of we went on LinkedIn, we went on any kind of platform that we could to get the agents' details, and you know, we were successful in securing it.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, it is about, like, don't say that if you're not going to do it. Like, we say it and we do it.
Yeah, excellent. Okay, thank you for the those three. And I think, yeah, I think anybody listening, I think they yeah, great tips and advice. So for anybody wanting to contact you, what would be the best way to get in touch?
So feel free to email me, and my email address is jennifer.barron@portfolio-builder.co.uk. So it's a very long email address. I think we're going to put it in the notes.
Yeah, we'll add it to the show notes. And you're still looking, I think you were saying the Portfolio Builder, you are oversubscribed. So it's potentially you don't have anything, any spaces at the moment, but if people wanted to work with you in the future, then they might want to reach out for you.
Yeah, absolutely. So we are oversubscribed at the moment, but we do have an investor waiting list. So if you are interested in working with us, then we can certainly have a conversation and add you to that.
Yeah. So as far as sites, is there any particular types of sites that you are interested in?
Yeah, so we like you know, big commercial sites that we can you know, convert into residential.
Mm-hmm.
And we ideally like these to be located in Nottingham.
Yeah. Okay. So if anybody's got any large commercial sites that are for commercial conversion, Nottingham area, that's for you. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
Get in touch. Look forward to hearing from you.
Great. Jen, thank you very much indeed for your time. It was great to go through Fireworks Factory. I kind of heard about it through Dan. I've seen it on your socials, and you know, the pictures, the end result is absolutely amazing. So congratulations.
Thank you very much. It was great to have the opportunity to talk about it. Thank you.
All right. Cheers, Jen.
Thank you.